Hello students, welcome to Siba Education Science. We're still on our lessons on structure of living organisms, cells and organization. And today we're talking about the plant and animal cells. So far in our studies, we've learned that cells are the smallest functional and structural unit of life. When you break a living thing down, the simplest thing you're going to see will be the cell. A cell can be said to be the basic unit of life. Cells are made up of specialized structures called organelles. I remember the last time that I compared organelles to organs in humans. When we take the cell as a human body, the organelles are the organs of the cell. Okay, they perform specific functions. Our stomach breaks down the food we take in. Okay, so the organelles also perform specific functions inside the cell. Now, cells are very small and can be seen clearly with the help of a light microscope or an electronic microscope. Okay, now we can choose the light microscope when we want to see just the basic structure, but when we want to see a detailed structure, we choose the electronic microscope. Under the light microscope, 7 organelles can be seen. These are the cell wall, cell or plasma membrane. We have the cytoplasm, the nucleus, mitochondria, vacuole, and chloroplast. Some of these organelles can be seen only in the plant cell. So today we're going to see which organelles I talked about last week that can be seen in only the plant cell. Okay, now let's move on. Let's talk about the structure of a plant cell. A plant cell has its outermost covering being the cell wall. Okay, the cell wall is made up of cellulose. Okay, now the cell wall gives the cell a rigid shape. So the outermost covering of a plant cell is the cell wall. Also, the outermost covering of a fungi cell is the cell wall, but it is not made up of cellulose. Only the plant cell is made up of cellulose. It has a cell wall too. Next to the cell wall is the cell membrane. It controls entry and exit of substances in and out of the cell. I'm only describing the plant cell here. Inside the cell is a jelly-like substance called the cytoplasm. It contains all the organelles inside the cell. The nucleus, the brain of the cell, is found in the cytoplasm. The plant cell also has a large and central vacuole. This is used for storage purposes and for support. Now, when the vacuole is fully filled, it gives the plant a turgid or a strong nature. Okay, it gives the plant cell a strong nature. Other organelles present in the cytoplasm are the chloroplast for photosynthesis and mitochondria for release of energy. Now, this is a plant cell. Remember, I said the cell wall here is the outermost covering of the plant cell. Next to the cell wall is the cell membrane. So the next layer you see here, the next boundary you see here, is the cell membrane. Now, inside the cell membrane is our cytoplasm, a fluid-filled or jelly-like structure called the cytoplasm, which fills the inside of the cell. Now, we have the large and central vacuole. This is used for storage and support purposes. So once this thing is fully filled, it gives the cell strength. Okay, it makes the cell very turgid. It gives it strength. Now, the plant cell also has mitochondria. This mitochondria, last time we learned that it is the site for the production of energy. We also have the chloroplast, which contains green pigment called the chlorophyll for photosynthesis. And lastly, we have the brain of the cell called the nucleus. Okay, so the outermost structure is the cell wall. The inner layer is the cell membrane. Then we come to the cytoplasm, which is fluid or jelly-like structure inside the cell. We come to the large and central vacuole, mitochondria, chloroplast, and lastly, the brain of the cell, which is the nucleus. So here is an activity for you. Please go onto the activity sheet in the Active Inspire you downloaded, and then try and put these words where they belong. The right words will stay, the wrong ones will return. Okay, so here I'm going to do the first one. Here clearly it is the vacuole. Since it stayed, I'm right. Let's look at the second one. Here I'm going to select cell membrane. If I'm right, it will stay. If I'm wrong, it will move back. Since I'm wrong, it moved back. So please go on to your activity sheet, that activity active inspire that you downloaded. You're going to see the plant cell there, and try and complete this for me. Pause the video here and do this activity. Continue when you're done. Okay, welcome back. I hope you were able to get everything right. Now let's see our answers. We have the vacuole here, we have the cell wall, since it's the outermost layer. Next, we have the chloroplast, the green structure. Good. We have the nucleus here. Excellent. They are all sticking, so I'm right. We have the cell membrane here. Oh, wow, nice. We have the mitochondria here, sausage shaped. Good. And lastly, the fluid filled or the gel-like substance, that is our cytoplasm. So I hope you're able to get it. Keep practicing with it so that we know how each structure should look like. Okay. Now let's come to the animal cell. The outermost covering of the animal cell is the cell membrane. We learned that the animal cell lacks a cell wall. So the animal cell has its outermost covering being the cell membrane. It protects organelles inside the cell. It prevents certain substances from entering and then certain substances from leaving the cell. Like plant cell, animal cells also have cytoplasm, nucleus, and mitochondria. So in plant cells, we have the cytoplasm, nucleus, and mitochondria. Same applies to the animal cell. But the animal cell has no chloroplast. No chloroplast in the animal cell, so the animal cell cannot make its own food. In the animal cell, the vacuoles are small, temporary, and could be more than one. So it depends on the state the cell is in. If there are things that need to be stored, vacuoles are created so that they are stored in there. If there are waste that need to be stored before they are excreted, vacuoles will need to be created so that they are stored in there. Remember, vacuoles are for storage and protection purposes. Now let's see the animal cell. We have the outermost structure being the cell membrane. We have the brain of the animal cell called the nucleus. We have the site for energy production called the mitochondria. We have the site for storage called the vacuoles. And then we have the jelly-like substance that contains all the organelles called the cytoplasm. This is our animal cell. Now moving to the next slide, just as you did for the plant cell, please pause the video here and complete or fill in the empty spaces. Okay, welcome back. Let's see our answers. Now the first one is the nucleus, the brain of the cell. The second one is the cell membrane, the outermost structure. We have the vacuole for storage. We also have the cytoplasm, fluid filled or gel-like substance that fills the cell. And then we have the mitochondrion, the sausage shaped structure inside the cell, the site where energy is released. Okay, now let's see the similarities. Both plant and animal cells have one, they both have the cytoplasm. Okay, they both have vacuoles for storage. Now this vacuole here is a similarity, it is also a difference. Okay, so vacuoles for storage, both cells have vacuoles for storage. 3, they both have cytoplasm. And then 4, they both have nucleus or nuclei. Okay, so 1, cytoplasm, 2, vacuoles for storage, 3, they both have cell membranes, and 4, they both have nuclei. Okay, so these are the similarities between a plant cell and an animal cell. Pause the video here and put this diagram down. Welcome back. Let's talk about the differences. Now, these are the properties. They are in the white column. The plant cell has its properties being the green column, and then the animal in the pink column. So let's talk about the shape. With a plant cell, due to the presence of the cell membrane, it has a rigid shape. Rigid shape. With the animal cell, it has a flexible shape. The animal cell lacks cell wall, so it has a flexible shape. Now let's talk about the chloroplast. Plant cells have chloroplast. Animal cells do not have chloroplast. That is why I've written absent here. With a cell wall, plant cells have cell wall. Animal cells do not have cell wall. Remember, the first one was a shape, rigid, flexible. Now we are talking about the cell wall, present, absent. And then for the vacuole, as I stated earlier, it is a similarity at the same time a difference. The difference is that for the plant cell, it is large and permanent. Whenever you take the plant cell, you're going to see a vacuole. But with the animal cell, small and temporary. It depends on what state the cell is in. If there are more waste to be excreted, vacuoles are created to store them. But for the animal cell, it is not large and permanent, just as in the plant cell. But in the animal cell, it is small and temporary. In summary, we learned that both plant and animal cells have cell membrane, cytoplasm, mitochondria, and vacuole. But the vacuole in the plant cell is large and central, and the vacuole in the animal cell is small, temporary, and then could be more than one. Okay, only plant cells have cell wall made up of cellulose and chloroplast. Please take note, the vacuole is a similarity, at the same time a difference. It is a similarity because it happens or it occurs in both of them. It is a difference because in the plant cell it is large and central, but in the animal cell it is small and temporary. This brings us to the end of our class. Keep studying hard. Have a nice day.